Hi, I wanted to make a short video about a funny story and why I love it so much for its view into fatal decisions or fatality of random events even and trade-offs that we make in security and in systems design. It's not a serious story. Luckily, I only know it second or third or fourth hand. I suppose it's second hand, but I will never know and I will never ask. And I also don't have the opportunity to ask anymore. So this is pretty easy. The whole story dates back like 15, 20, 25 years. I don't know. Um, it's about coffee in data centers, and it is about people doing stupid things on the moon. And I'm gonna start with the people on the moon and hope that I can make a connection between the different stories that make sense for you. Sorry also if I might be like losing my train of thought for a second or something. I just have a very slow brain by now, but I try. And I wrote notes, so we should be okay. So it's about fatality and trade-offs. The first thing is there was a little comic strip on the internet that I could not find for this talk or for this video now, but it's pretty easy explained. You have a little guy, an astronaut on the moon with his space landing capsule behind him, and he's hopping around and he's really happy about the low gravity. And at some point he figures like, yeah, honestly, I should be able to I should be able to lift my lander. And he like lifts it and throws it up and he's really happy for a second because the gravity is so low and he's basically becomes superhuman in strength. And then he realizes that, well, oh, yeah. And it was really cutely painted, but as I said, I couldn't find it. But yeah, I love jokes that go into this one moment when you realize that you just like did something that cannot be undone. And often in these situations, it's not even worth it to be upset anymore. You can basically just giggle and say, okay, yep, that was interesting. Like I spent the smallest amount of effort to make a fatal choice or an influence, basically, not even a choice, just an influence on my environment that completely changed everything. Like on Unix, if you have a system where somebody deleted all your files by doing a runaway rm-r, that's not very good. I was called down into the data center once because somebody had made a mistake like that. It was basically an automation error, uninitialized variable, and the usual thing. So he had a space somewhere in between. It doesn't matter. He managed to delete the root file system. That was back on AIX, and it was a huge, expensive workstation, or not workstation, a server, but like a desk side, so something like a washing machine in the size. And back then we had Legato for backups. The backup agent was a static binary, so you could, without too much trouble, restore the whole system without even needing to reboot. You probably would have some application errors from the time when, let's say, that the database needed to log switch and the path doesn't exist or something. But basically, if you restore that stuff and you just say, okay, don't overwrite what is still there, you're gonna have a working system afterwards. And you're not like you're gonna have to reboot just to be sure that you didn't mess up something, that there is not some working data somewhere in the wrong location now. But basically it was easy to restore. That was the magic of having static binaries that were running, and of course we don't do that anymore today. So today we just, I don't know, redeploy the cloud and then it's also fine. When I got down there in the data center, I sat down and I knew, okay, so this is going to be tricky. If I do it right, I can restore this thing, and we're gonna save a lot of downtime, and it's all gonna be fine, and the guy is not gonna be in trouble, and so on. And I thought, yeah, okay. I logged in. It was like CDE common desktop environment, login works. Okay, fine, good. Yeah, yeah. There was 3 open terminals, so also what I would have needed to like access the backup daemon and then also to just investigate. AIX was also really nice in that it didn't invalidate something it still had in memory and so on. Um, but there was a UPS test a few weeks ago, and there was like warning messages in the terminals about the imminent shutdown, and I knew it was from that test. But I thought this is distracting. It's gonna distract me, and I might make a mistake. I should get rid of these messages. So I closed the terminals. Yep. And in the moment that I closed the last terminal, my brain automatically told me, warning, this was a bad decision. And yeah, I just sat there and I kept clicking on the launch icon for the terminal, and I knew there was no terminal left to open. And I had basically shot my own foot in the worst possible way. There was no way now to recover, or at least not so easily. And I just like kept clicking that button for a minute or something to savor the moment of this stupid little good practice. Like, do not have a distracting situation if you have to do critical work. But in that case, getting rid of the distraction was what destructed. And yeah, then I just left and threw the keyboard against the wall or something. I don't know. And I left, and one of the Windows guys, he looked at me confused because I was just there, then started laughing, threw something at the wall, and walked out of the data center again. And then upstairs, I had to say, yeah, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to do a bit more extra work on that one. Uh, it was just like, how long did it take to close these terminals? Let's say you don't rush it because you want to be procedural. It's an emergency, so 2 seconds maybe, and that's it. Like the guy with his space capsule, he's not going to take longer to lift it up like strong, and then it flies, and then he realizes that he's an idiot. And that's a pretty human thing, and I like the human condition in general. Um, this guy, you can see there, the astronaut Charlie Duke, he held I think 2 talks in Munich in the German Museum of Engineering, and once I was there to watch him, and he told us about the strict rules that they had. And he was the 10th guy on the moon, so they've been there a few times already. And he wasn't like, he was good, but he wasn't serious. He was a human. So when they had to take some photo shoots with the moon rover, he told them, no, you were told, they radioed in, you have to drive fast. And so they were racing around, and he was taking the video. And of course, nobody had said they should drive fast. The ground station guys were not happy about it at all. But yeah, well, he was having fun, and he was on the fucking moon. So when is he gonna do it, if not in that moment? And a bit later, yeah, he thought, okay, so I can see I can hop. So I can jump as well? How far can I jump? So he wasn't trying to go off the moon, but he was trying to check the distance. And he jumped. And of course, it was absolutely verboten, forbidden to do any stupid jumping around on the moon. Maybe they hadn't told him why it was forbidden, but in any case, he realized, because once he jumped, he realized, okay, so if I come back down the way my trajectory is going, I'm gonna land on my like utility kit in the back, the air supply and whatever. And if that breaks and I'm on the moon, then I'm on the goddamn moon with broken spacesuit, so I'm gonna die. And then he had to like waddle around in the air while jumping, and you've probably seen the video of the people who are stuck in a certain spot on the ISS or something where they just cannot move, and he somehow managed to at least like turn his body inside and yeah, land on his arm or something. I forgot the details. And yeah, it was also just like one moment of decision. Okay, I'm gonna try that, and then he realizes, oh fuck, I'm flying. It's going on. It's not gonna stop. I'm doing a fatal mistake. And the trade-off in that case is just to like, yeah, I'm there now. I can try jumping on the moon and see how far I come. I can be a curious, scientific, in a way, human, or he can just stand there and not care. And so, of course, he jumped. He also told about the post mission debriefing with the group psychologist and medics and so on. And they told him his pulse during the start, and they told him after the mission for a reason. And he had like, I don't know, 130, 150 or something just from the shaking from the rocket. And he asked about his mission chief. So the one guy who was actually leading the mission on the rocket. And that guy had like 50, 60, 80 something, like a normal relaxed pulse. And it's like with race drivers that you basically have a set of people who have certain psychopathic traits and they can stay really relaxed if they don't have a reason to be not relaxed. And yeah, so if you're mission chief for that and you know you're on a rocket, okay, it might explode, you might die, but it's not gonna be in your area of influence, so you just relax. And that's what the guy did. That's then like he put it that way. That's when he realized why the other guy was leading the mission and not him. And yeah, that's always interesting. As an ADHS person, you're really usually good in the calm of a storm. I was in a car crash once, and I had dialed 112 before we hit. Like our car was rolling over, or at least on the side, and I had dialed the emergency number before we crashed down on the ground again. It was easy because it was an emergency and my brain functions, but that's a different thing than a person who just stays calm no matter what. So that was the guy jumping around in space and making fatal choices. And now I would like to make the the progression to a technician I was told about who was working on a security's critical system, and like he was a bit desperate and he didn't know how to get rid of the error or something, and it was going long, and so at some point he was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna need a coffee. And of course, in a data center, you don't drink coffee because there's electricity and whatever, and it's just a no-go. But on the there's many no-goes in life. There is the no-go that you shouldn't work more than, I don't know, 10, 11 hours because you need a break because your mental capacity is going to degrade. And there is the no-go that you maybe are there in a military installation or some other government institution where you actually don't have your human rights in the full level and you might not leave until it's fixed. Maybe because many, many people depend on it, maybe because some other thing is blocked. Um, I had one guy who told me he had a colleague who was in some Arab kingdom when they shake them, when it was hip to have your own mobile network. And there was the guy, the technician for installing, and the shitty software had a bug. And then the sheikh came and asked how it's running and so on, and his new fancy multi-million dollar mobile network. And he said, yeah, it's not working. I have to fly back. I have to check what's going on there. At least I have to wait for somebody to send me a fix. And then the sheikh just looked at the security guard and put signaled the guy to stand in the door and said, no, no, you're not gonna leave until this works. And the guy had a machine gun, so he stayed there, and it was a very quick bug fix after he had escalated enough. And then, of course, the customer got like the invoice and no support afterwards. Um, but that's the thing; it's a trade-off. You have human needs. You might not need to sleep or something, but sometimes you might not be able to leave, so you need a coffee. And the guy had his coffee and was thinking, and the coffee started to work, and he was like getting there and maybe realizing what's going on or how he can approach the problem at least. And he put down his coffee cup on the server on the top, to try something. I don't know. Yeah, and that was a tamper resistant, sorry, system, and it noted the temperature change on the case, and it started some automatic wipe. And of course, he realized quickly after it started, uh, like if you if you work with systems and you suddenly see excessive disk I/O after you did something that shouldn't have caused one, and you realize, okay, so suddenly the cluster is failing over or something, and we're having downtime right now, and I didn't know that it's gonna happen, but I know what it looks like if it's happening. And this guy was like, I know what it's looking when the system is deleting itself, and there's my coffee cup, and oh fuck. So it took him, how long does it take to put down a coffee cup? A second or something? And yeah, there was nothing he could do. I don't know more about that stuff. I don't know if they had a backup, a super encrypted special backup, or whatever came out of it. It's just like, yeah, sometimes you need a coffee, and the job experience maybe is to then, if you go in there with your illegal coffee and the security guy has nodded and has signaled that he's not seeing it, that you're gonna still think about where you're gonna put that thing. Like, do you put it on a table and the table might fall over if you get even more tired, or do you put it on the ground but you might walk against it? So where do you put it? Do you put it far away? You might forget about it. You might never drink it, or you might leave it there and then the next guy drops it. So what's it gonna be? And I like this story so much because there is no good solutions at all. So imagine you come with the most easy answer or easy suggestion. Okay, I forbid him having coffee. Okay, sure. So he's there for 10 hours. It's turning 15 hours. It's turning 20 hours. And there's some pressure. Is he gonna make a better job without coffee? Or is he gonna make a mistake? He's probably gonna make a mistake. And then I say, yeah, okay, the people shouldn't be so tired, so I should have more people. Okay, sure. So how many highly qualified people who can like fix the one system your country only has like this one of? How many are you gonna have like in your team? And if they're in your team, you might have to risk like expect like security risks or something. And like more people are more exploitable, more um, chance of mental instabilities and all these other things that lead to insider sabotage. Or you have more families that can be like put under pressure or something. So that's gonna be a bit tricky. If you're gonna have vendor technicians from the outside, you risk your whole security. Like if you have more of these people, you're not gonna know the technicians anymore. So is it gonna be a random person? It's not gonna work well. Um, you could have two systems, but then you don't have one source of truth for your super secret, I don't know, whatever is in the box. It's like in Ronin, where they have this stupid suitcase and you never figure out what is in there, and they start killing each other about it, but nobody knows what it is. Um, so two systems mean you take away the single source of truth. So tamper resistance suddenly gets more important. Synchronization becomes an issue. But that's still the easy stuff. Two systems would be in two different places. So means you have suddenly two places that could be attacked. And this temporary protection is basically, it's not meant to keep out a hacker. It's not meant out to keep out like a guy with a keyboard. It's meant to, like, my country is under attack and somebody has broken into this room and he's trying to get that shit, whatever that shit might be. So if you have two of these things, you're not gonna be in a better place. Like the first thing is you would need to have twice the security. So of course again you have twice the security leaks. The most famous, or the most twice the people that might actually be working against you. The most famous thing for that is the assassination of Indira Gandhi. She had a huge security detail. I don't know the number anymore, but like, let's say between 40 people or 60 at the start, and then because there was increased threats, they upped it to like 100 or 200. The problem was there was like one sect that wanted to kill her, and there was only one guy in that team at the start, and he was loyal. But then when the team size was increased, there was another guy, And then the two talked, and the second guy said, yeah, but it's really bad what she's doing. And the first guy, yeah, but it's my job. We're here to protect her. The second guy, yeah, I know, but we're protecting the country as well, right? And so she ended up dead because the security was increased. Where am I going now? Oh, yeah. Then you have the stupid thing with the insider threats. I'm going to show this wonderful example. That's the Teufelsberg NSA station near to Berlin, and uh, I wasn't able to like Google up the thing that I would need to show you. But basically, they had like a secure zone and an outside zone and whatever. And for the connection between the two rooms, there was fiber optic cables in the floors, and there were inside tubes, and these tubes were filled with gas. And there was a gas pressure monitoring to see if there was tampering. So the same story as with this coffee cup. And if you're in the US, you probably know that the solution for the GDR security or spy agencies and the KGB from Russia was, yeah, well, we're just gonna find the one asshole who wants like a few $1,000s or a few 10,000. It wasn't much more. And then we're gonna have a fake car repair shop. And if the guy shows up there, there is the guy called the Turk, and he's gonna just be his Stasi contact. And at some guy, this spy even sold to the Russians and to the East Germans at the same time for, I heard about that not long ago. Let's say for 6 months or for 3 years, I don't know anymore, but for a prolonged period of time. And they didn't even realize. And then I was like, yeah, basically, we're not going to kill you because you're quite useful, but please only sell to us, to the Russians, because we're the big guys and the Germans are not important. And later he basically stopped working with the Russians and only worked with the Germans because that was more comfortable or something. And this guy was like driving out from the Teufelsberg base with the stuff he copied or photographed, whatever was his method at that moment, and he drove to his car repair shop. He also went to the fucking Russian embassy and to the East German whatever ministry. He went into East Berlin and nobody noticed. So everything was going wrong there, and you're gonna add more people to keep the system secure. It's not gonna work out. What other stupid edge cases did I write down? Um, yeah, so oh yeah, the other case where you have this conundrum with sleep is in aircraft, military aircraft, if they're being restationed like over the ocean. The people used to get like drugs, like I don't know what, something like speed or something, so that they stay awake for this long flight. And then there was some health legislation, and as basically the Air Force said, no, we cannot actually hand people drugs. We fire them if they have drugs. And so they only got coffee. And I just remember that the pilots were extremely upset because, like, you're gonna sit there at Mach, I don't know, travel speed 1.2 or something with your stick, and you're gonna do that for 12 hours with air refueling and so on. And if it's a single seater, you're not going to have like a sleepy or something. So they said, please give us our drugs because we don't want to die. But that's only the self-preservation thing. And then I think I can end it basically at the backups and at not wiping. So not wiping doesn't work because it's for this one case when you actually have a guy with a drill or a welder, a grinder trying to break into the system. So if everything else fails, then it should delete itself. And we had this case with the Graphene OS guy who gave the border guards his emergency pin or whatever it's called, and the system wiped itself. I used to have a BlackBerry Priv, and that one by default, I think if you had 10 wrong password attempts, it just wiped. Um, it is good if you have any sensitive data on your device because you want to have you want to take yourself out of that physical repression stage. And if that thing wipes itself, you're done. Like maybe they just throw you next to the street or somewhere, but basically you don't matter anymore once the data is gone. And that's also a factor with this system. Like you might still be a witness or something, you might have seen someone, but the pressure on you goes down. Um, but if the system wipes, are you going to have a backup? Are you going to restore it? Where is it coming from? Where's the key stored? The only safe enough place in theory would be that system, but you can't put the key in there because it would be gone if the system wipes itself. So yeah, basically what you normally do as an IT guy then is you go to like the most important person and say, okay, this is your fucking problem because you're the boss. So it's gonna end up in some vault or something, and there's gonna be some hierarchical solution for it, but that's the only way to go around it. And yeah, I just find it funny. If you think there's a solution where you can have the system more lax and still be protected, I don't know what it is. I had picked this picture as last one. It's like I love the price. It should be in my home. That's an old tandem nonstop box. These are completely redundant basically, and HP still ran that line, and then you have like two. And normally the story is that like huge banks normally still run mainframes or one of or a few of those, and basically from the data center layout. Um, so let's not say anything wrong. Let's just say no, the usual theory is that there is the bank data center and there is a level below or something, and that's where you might find the tandem. That's like the colloquial interpretation. And that system is called nonstop for a reason, and something like that is basically the idea. Okay, I'm gonna have the system redundancy to catch hardware and software failures, and then maybe it's all gonna be fine. And that thing is gonna run for 30 years, and you can upgrade it while it's running and so on. But you still would need the experts. They're still gonna grow tired, and the software is still gonna have bugs. So I'm not sure if the problem ever goes away. And then it just becomes acceptance. Like my space capsule, yep, it's gone. I made the one thing that I can't change. And then it's just like, okay, all right, let's check out the moon. Bye.